On October 15, 2021, a woman named Ellie Smith, along with her husband and their 2 children, left their family home in Carnarvon and arrived at the Blowholes campsite in Macleod. They had planned a weekend getaway, unaware that this trip would soon take a horrifying turn. At around 6 a.m. the next day, Ellie would wake up to every parent's nightmare. Her 4-year-old daughter Cleo and her sleeping bag were gone. The tent the family was sleeping in was open to a length of about 30 centimeters from its fully open position. Ellie and her family frantically began searching the area for Cleo, but soon realized she was nowhere in the vicinity of the campsite. Deeply alarmed, they quickly informed the police. Approximately 7 minutes later, the police arrived at the campsite and launched an extensive air, land, and sea search that lasted throughout the day, but there was no success in finding her. Initially, the focus was on the possibility that Cleo had simply wandered off. However, on October 16th, 6 days after her disappearance, investigators would uncover a chilling clue. The zipper on the family's tent had been opened higher than Cleo could have possibly reached on her own. This unsettling discovery shifted the investigation in a more disturbing direction. What started as a search and rescue mission was now being treated as a likely abduction, raising even greater concerns for Cleo's safety. The Western Australian Police Force also launched a massive search operation involving over 100 officers. However, despite the massive effort and the hundreds of man-hours put into the search, the manhunt turned up empty. Every lead seemed to result in a dead end, and the odds of successfully rescuing Cleo started to dwindle with every passing day. Things looked bleak until all evidence began pointing to a 36-year-old Carnarvon resident, Terrence Darrell Kelly. Some store employees and locals in Carnarvon had reported to the police about a man who had been seen buying nappies, even though he had no children. This, combined with other evidence, such as witnesses reported to the police they had spotted a sedan leaving the campsite around 3 a.m. on the night Cleo went missing, turning right towards Carnarvon, coupled with mobile phone data and CCTV footage from around the campsite, further supported these claims, ultimately helping authorities narrow their focus on Kelly as the prime suspect. And on November 3, 2021, at 12:46 a.m., police broke into Terrence Darrell Kelly's house, located just minutes from Cleo's family home in Carnarvon. In a miraculous turn of events, Cleo was found alive and well in one of the rooms.
Cleo, my name's Cameron. How are you? Are you okay? We're going to take you to see your mummy and daddy, okay?
Kelly was subsequently taken into custody after police intercepted the car he was driving. That same day, Cleo was reunited with her family. In most cases, children of Cleo's age who go missing for such a long period and are later found safe are extremely rare, but Cleo's case was nothing short of a miracle. Police later investigated Kelly to understand his motive, and what they uncovered was deeply disturbing. Kelly had a troubling past and had developed an obsessive fantasy of himself as a father. He created multiple Facebook pages for fictitious children, communicated with them as if they were real, and even insisted to others that they existed. His delusions didn't stop there. Kelly had an extensive collection of Bratz dolls, dozens of them, some meticulously preserved in their original packaging. His social media was littered with eerie photos and videos of him posing with the dolls, treating them as if they were his own children. As investigators pieced together his twisted obsession, one chilling conclusion became clear. Kelly had abducted Cleo to fulfill his unsettling fatherhood fantasy. On November 4, 2021, Terrence Darrell Kelly was charged with forcibly taking a child under 16. He appeared in court without applying for bail and was later transferred to Casuarina Prison. Kelly pleaded guilty to child stealing, and on April 5, 2023, Kelly was sentenced to 13.5 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after 11.5 years, and was also fined $1,000 in January 2023 for obstructing the police. His appeal to reduce the sentence was denied on September 30, 2024. On March 21, 2002, a 51-year-old man named John Darwin was paddling his red canoe into the cold waters of the North Sea in Seaton Carew, England. Later the same day, he was reported as missing after failing to report to work. And after weeks of searching, it was assumed John had drowned at sea after a double-ended paddle and the wreckage of his boat were found. John was declared legally dead. But in reality, John Darwin was very much alive, hiding in plain sight in one of the most audacious fraud schemes in modern history. After paddling out in his canoe, John made his way back to shore and hid in a small one-room apartment that he and his wife Anne owned, which was right next to their family home. His sons, Mark and Anthony, had no idea their father was still alive, but his wife, Anne Darwin, was fully aware. With John declared dead, Anne successfully claimed over £500,000 in life insurance payouts and pension benefits. For nearly 5 years, John lived in secrecy, rarely leaving the house, and had even applied for a fake passport under the name John Jones in 2004. Using this alias, he traveled to Panama in 2006, hoping to settle there with his wife. The couple even bought property and started planning their new life abroad. But in June 2007, Panama introduced stricter visa laws requiring foreign residents to verify their identities through UK police records. Knowing his fake identity as John Jones wouldn't hold up, John Darwin decided to return to the UK and fake amnesia. On December 1, 2007, surveillance video showed John walking into the London police station, claiming he had no memory of the past 5 years. However, he was unaware that the police were already suspicious and had been investigating him and his wife for months. Authorities had launched a financial investigation after a colleague of Anne overheard a suspicious phone call between her and John. Their suspicions were confirmed when a photo of John and Anne together at a real estate office in Panama had been published online as part of an advertisement for the property business. Upon further investigation, it was revealed that John and Anne Darwin were deeply in debt due to failed investments in rental properties and mounting mortgage payments. Facing bankruptcy, John devised a desperate plan. He would fake his own death so Anne could claim life insurance payouts, allowing them to escape their financial troubles and start a new life. Both were arrested and charged with fraud and deception. In 2008, John was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in prison, while Anne received 6 years and 6 months. Their sons, who had genuinely believed their father was dead, were devastated and would disown both parents upon learning of the betrayal. They have since been released and are now reportedly divorced. On April 9, 2022, in Summit County, Utah, a call came into the local sheriff's office. A concerned resident had reported seeing a disoriented young man sitting outside a gas station. Deputies responded, unaware that they were about to uncover something far more shocking. When officers arrived, they found a young man huddled in front of the store, visibly cold and struggling to communicate. Deputies in Summit County, Utah had encountered the young man before, but since he hadn't broken any laws, they had no reason to detain him. He had no identification and seemed hesitant to engage with them. Sensing that something was off, the deputies gently persuaded him to warm up in their vehicle, where they scanned his fingerprints in an attempt to identify him. At first, nothing came up. No active warrants, no identification, and no immediate clues about his identity. But instead of stopping there, the deputies expanded their search to national databases. That's when they made a chilling discovery. The young man was identified as 19-year-old Connor Jack Oswalt, who had been missing for nearly 3 years. He had vanished from his home in Clear Lake, California in 2019 at the age of 16. As deputies continued investigating, they contacted his family, who could barely believe what they were hearing. For more than 2 years, his family reportedly scoured missing children postings from all over the country, hoping for a sign that Oswalt, who is autistic, was alive. When asked for identifying marks, his mother mentioned a birthmark on the back of his neck, one that matched the young man in their custody. Authorities also soon learned that Oswalt also had autism, which explained why he had difficulty communicating. On November 8, 2024, 30-year-old Hannah Kobayashi had planned to fly from her home in Hawaii to New York City with a layover at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX. However, upon arriving in New York City, she never boarded her connecting flight to Los Angeles. Soon after, her family received concerning text messages from Hannah's friend, claiming Hannah had told her that someone she trusted had tried to take her money and that her identification had been stolen. Alarmed, her family reported her missing, and a search began. Hannah's father, Ryan Kobayashi, also traveled to Los Angeles to assist in the search for his daughter. Authorities worked to piece together her movements, but there was little to go on. Then, on November 24th, tragedy struck again when Hannah's father, Ryan Kobayashi, who had traveled to Los Angeles to aid in the search, was found dead near LAX in an apparent suicide. Weeks passed with no definitive leads until December 2nd, when Hannah was seen crossing the U.S.-Mexico border into Tijuana, alone and appearing unharmed. Investigators determined she had left voluntarily, and the Los Angeles Police Department reclassified her as a voluntary missing person. On December 15th, Hannah unexpectedly resurfaced in the United States. In a public statement, she expressed gratitude for those who had shown her kindness and emphasized her desire to focus on healing and creativity. It was later revealed that Hana Kobayashi was suspected of involvement in a green card marriage scam. She allegedly married an Argentinian man, Alan Kakasi, to help him obtain U.S. residency, as part of a scheme linked to her former partner, Amun Muniz Miranda.